power teaching that I'm about to do with you. Welcome for wherever it is that you're tuning in from. If it's Technique Tuesday, hey everybody, Wendy, how you doing? And if it's YouTube or our Instagram streaming or Facebook, glad that you're with us. And love to hear where you're coming in from. So if you feel so inclined, we'd love for you to just kind of drop your location right now where you are presently in the chat box and just say hi, let us know what's going on. And we're coming to you from Hollywood, California, where I have my studio here. It's an on-camera acting studio where we work with people daily on helping them to get work in film and television as on-camera actors. I am an on-camera empowerment coach, basically meaning if you are communicating your message via camera for the screen, I'm going to help get your performance there where it needs to be. Whether you're talking on a YouTube channel or you're giving a presentation like I am right now, or you're actually developing a character for a story and you're looking to land a job, however that works out. Maybe you're working on your TED Talk, or you're an attorney that wants to have a better courtroom persona. However it works, I can empower your message, help you to communicate your message, and get it to come in that much clearer and stronger. And I'm at the tail end of an intensive right now on intention. It's an intention intensive. And we've been talking about this now, I think 3-4 weeks, and we're just finishing it up, and the importance of intention. So I'm going to do a little recap and then give you an intentional exercise at the end of this pithy teaching to help you guys with this somewhat elusive term of intention. What does it mean? What is it all about? Why is it important? Some of you might not have ever equated it at all to acting, although one of the greatest acting coaches alive today at time of taping, Mr. Larry Moss, named his book Intent to Live. So you might want to take a look at the importance of this and why I'm doing a deep dive into intention right now. So if you are taking notes or you have anything that you're jotting down or any of that stuff, there's a whole series on this. You can go back the last 3 weeks on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, our own website, Claybank Studio. And you can find previous teachings if you really want to jump into it, because intention is one of those things that makes the difference between something being good and something being like, wow, why is that really good? And something that's really intrigued me is seeing the lack of intention in people's work. And then when you see intentionality in people's work and you compare the difference, it's like you would not want to leave that out. So let me do a little bit of a review. I'm going to keep it simple because, as I mentioned, if you want to do a deep dive, you can go back and you can really look into it. And then all these teachings on intention will add up and hopefully help make you more of a powerhouse. So, and what is intention and why is it important? And why is it important to us as actors? First off, intention by definition is to be doing anything or to be living with specificity and purpose, meaning it's not at random and it's not just natural and it's not by chance, but it's on point. It's a specific goal that you're looking to accomplish, and you do it with specificity and heightened care, meaning it's separate from everything else. Now, when you're performing, and whether you're performing as an actor or a speaker, whenever the camera's on you, like it is on me right now, that means everything that's going on is communicating a message, and it should not be random. So, for example, you're in my production office studio right now. And in the studio, there are things, we're lighting it a certain way. I'm sitting a certain way. We're photographing this a certain way to be able to communicate this, what you're receiving right now, wherever you're watching this from. I have monitors all around and I'm getting a little bit of a look at it and going, okay, I like the way it looks. It looks good. Most of it here is intentional, although this is a functional studio office. So there's a lot of people that come in and out of here. I'm not on top of everything that's happening. But if I was shooting a movie, I would go through this with a fine-tooth comb and I would make sure that even these controllers are exactly where I want them to be, saying what I want them to say, Should my glasses be here on this wire or not? Should the keyboard come into the shot a little bit more? And how's the glare on that keyboard? Ooh, I like the reflection on that keyboard right there. Is the angle right? What's going on back here? And so on. And because you're now setting up a shot to be intentional. When good filmmakers, and I say good filmmakers because there's a lot of bad filmmakers out there that don't have the eye to see anything, and they're learning, or they're working at it, or maybe they shouldn't even be filmmakers because they're not seeing the things that are going on, that are communicating messages that are not what they want to communicate. Or maybe it's so far off they don't even know the message that they want to communicate, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But when you're working in a completely intentional environment, meaning it's complete specificity. And, you know, this could be anything from, what's coming to mind is an amusement park. I mean, if you stop and think about it, when you go to an amusement park and you're going to get on a ride, all the signs leading up to that ride, when you go through the carousel, that maze that you have to go through on that hour-long wait, all the music that's being played, the color choices, all that has been designed. It's all architect. It's what do I say? Architect. Why am I saying? I'm making up a word right now. Architected. It's all, I'm trying to say illustrated and architectural at the same time. It's like architected. What the heck? We go with it. It's specific and it's on purpose. And then when you get into that ride, whatever it might be, the nature of it, how you're approaching it, everything's been designed. And when you stop and think about films and how much CGSi is going into films, that's not by accident and chance. We go over things right down to the pixel to make sure that they're exactly the way that we want them to be. That's working with complete intentionality. So what would be the opposite of that? Oh, well, you know, it doesn't matter whatever we do. It does, anything goes, nothing matters, no intention in anything we're doing. We're just, oh, yeah, man, just chilling. It's cool, whatever, you know, everything's like that. And you don't really have any type of specificity. Now, where the training comes in is when you're acting and you're now looking to be in that frame on purpose with a plan, meaning you've got to drive a motivation, a purpose. You've got a want, a need. You're after something. You're doing something for specific reasons. When that's happening, generally, if you're shooting on a regular video camera or film camera, whatever it is, we're generally shooting around 24 to 30 frames a second. That's what the eye watches. That's what works normal with us. Now, we just say 30 because video, most things are video, and you go and we're shooting at 30 frames a second. If you really want slow motion, you go to 60 or 120 frames a second or so on and so on, which means you just add more frames per second, which means you're capturing more information so you can slow it down without getting that bumpy, jaggedy thing that'll happen, especially before they had this technology. I mean, heck, they're probably shooting at 1,000 frames a second at this point. Who knows? Some of you might know. But my point being is those frames, are they being captured or are they not being captured? Are we on point on what's happening or are we not? So let's look at why we're not. Why wouldn't somebody be living with intention, be operating with intention? Well, because it takes work. It takes effort. It takes energy. It takes care. You burn more calories. It's work. It's that four-letter word work, and we're not going to naturally go there. That's one thing. You got to really work at it. Two, you don't have the information. You don't know about it. That's what we're looking to do with this teaching series, is to get you to know about these things so that you can be more intentional with your work. Three, you're afraid. So what's the big fear? The big fear is, I can't go there because I don't know what that is. It's living at a level that I'm not accustomed to. It's not who I am. And when we go into those avenues, we tend to get insecure, even embarrassed, and then we pull back. That's what training is all about. Training is getting you to confront those levels and then work through them and push through them so that you're advancing with what you're doing. You're not staying in that mediocre place. Now, another thing that gets in the way is not really knowing how to do it. because your personal life, your everyday living, isn't necessarily being lived with intentionality. So when you're asked to be intentional about yourself, you don't really know how to do it. And again, that's where training comes in. And I deal with this every week, all the time, because my job as an on-camera coach is to get that message to come across very clear and very specific. And it's not just actors. I, I did a spokesperson shoot this weekend, working with a non-actor as a CEO of his own company, and he wanted to communicate his message on a topic. And we got contracted to shoot the video for him. And so now I'm working with him, and he's a regular guy trying to just speak naturally and get the copy across. Well, not being trained at all in this arena, he's not aware of how much nothing is going on when you're not actually activated in doing something about it. So it's now we have to do all kinds of things to make that scene, that clip, look interesting. Whereas a trained and a good, well-trained on-camera spokesperson or talent would be more versed in how to keep the frames interesting, keep them activated so that they're engaging their audience more. It doesn't just happen naturally. So wherever you are watching this, I could pretty much tell you that if I were working with you, I could take you to the next level of your intentionality, because it isn't necessarily hard to see where people are not living with specificity. Where else does this become a problem? General conceptual thinking. And what is that? That's when you think in blocks. You get an idea, it activates part of your personality or even some of your emotionality, and then you just move with that. You're not watching the little things that are happening along the way. You're just kind of moving with that. And it'd be like, say, this desk right here, if this desk were really messy. And I said, I need it tidied up. And somebody said, oh, okay, well, put that there, put this here. There, the desk is tidy. And I'm going, well, what about all these smudges? And what about all this dust and these crumbs? What about this thing over here? What's this? Oh, yeah, there's that too. I see, it's being missed. The job wasn't done with specificity and intentionality. Now, if you took a desk cleaning specialist, somebody that prides themselves in this and maybe makes top dollar for doing it, first thing they're going to do is analyze the desk and look at it and go, okay, what's going on? What's the problem? Things have to be moved. What's the tabletop? Oh, this is this surface. This is what has to be done with this surface. Okay, let's get all these things out of the way. Now let's call the big particles. And now let's go down and now let's work with some kind of cleansing substance to cleanse it out. Let's get this really nice. Let's go ahead and put everything back together again. Okay, now this is a little bit of a rudimentary explanation, but I think you get the point. Are we really stopping what we're doing and taking time to look at what needs to be done here? Living with specificity, and it's not easy to do. So how do we go about it? Well, let's look at what that means to us as an actor working with a character as a scene. And even if you're not an actor, you're still a character of some degree, even if you're representing yourself, if you're a lawyer in a courtroom, or you're just a business owner communicating a YouTube video about a product or service, or you're just a social media person that wants to put out good videos. You're still a character. Even though I'm being me right now, I'm still a character. I represent something. I represent the on-camera empowerment coach that's communicating a teaching, okay? And when you're taking on a character, that means you're taking on a specific character written by somebody else and put in a situation other than the situation that you're in. Actors. That's what actors will deal with. So now what has to happen is you got to get the host, which is the actor, in a place where they know how to stop and be present in the moment, not in their head worried, not caught up in thinking about where am I going to go, what am I going to do, what did I just do, what's happening, in all these places where you're not actually right here crystal clear in the moment. Your emotions are getting away from you because they're pushing you around. Instead of you being in control of your emotions are in control of you. Now, I will tell you one thing, and it's part of the assignment I'm going to give you at the end of this video, which is coming up in just a couple of minutes, is your breathing is directly connected to your emotions. Okay, so when you start getting a handle on your breathing, you can start controlling your emotions a little bit more. Like what happens when people get in shock? Stop, take a deep breath, look at me. You know, you got to calm them down. That helps to calm them down. So when you're taking on a character in a situation, first you have to be prepared. And that means you can't be worried about your lines and not sure that you're good enough to play the role and insecure about the way that you look. All those things are not going to allow you to function with intentionality because you're catering to the survival mechanisms as opposed to operating in your performance zone. And that's ultimately what training is going to do for you, help you to get into your performance zone. And it happens with the understanding the art of the craft, understanding the technicalities of the craft, weaving them together and actually developing craft, which is you as an artisan. All those things have to be trained and you have to work with them. Now, I'm a coach and I have all kinds of tools to help you. I do these complimentary teachings and you can follow me online, of course. I have an acting studio and an on-camera performance studio here in the Hollywood area where we constantly are working with actors either in group fashions or in one-on-ones. I've got online materials to help you. And I actually built an online academy where people can study the art, craft, and technicalities of on-camera acting, basically right there from wherever you are in the world. It's called ACT, the art, craft, and technicalities of on-camera acting. And you can find it on our website. And you could also go to CBSi, that's our company, CBSi, act.com, and go directly to the actual course, CBSiAct.com. And it's a full 12-session course on acting on camera that it's self-paced. It's very extensive. It's to date, it's the most comprehensive online acting program I've seen anywhere, looking all over the internet, and it's pretty cool. And you can check that out. There's a lot of really good information there. But all these things, and what I'm about and what I dedicated my life to, is helping other people understand how to develop quality product so that you're not boring the people that are listening to you. Okay, maybe I'm doing it for a selfish reason because I don't like looking at really boring stuff, but I like looking at really quality stuff. Because when people are truly executing the craft, they're working with so much intention, they create so much attention for themselves. And it has to do with you, first of all, getting right with you. And once you do that through your training and your work and your exercising through this, and you can't just do it listening to these videos. You actually have to start applying yourself on a regular basis with all types of different things you can do. I mean, if you put artist adventures in a Google search, you might find a whole bunch of exercises that I've come up with over the years and years of people that can do these things on their own. Not necessarily even needing a coach or a class. You can go out and you should be doing these things on your own, supplementing classes and professional training. But once you start getting yourself in a place where you can be present and in the moment, then you have to start developing now the character. Now you're living for another person. What did the writer create? And that's understanding the writer's intent. Okay, what is writer's intent? What did the writer intend when they wrote this? When they created this character and put this character in this world, what were the intentions of the writer? Because the writer, with all respect to the ultimate deity, the writer is the God character in a movie because the writer creates the world. The writer is the creator of all the people in all the situations and decides everything on how it's going to go and how it's going to play out for that period of that film, that story. So the creation needs to be understood by the person who's going to be creating the character in that world. Otherwise, you get stories and that's not going to fly. It happens a lot in auditions when actors don't know how to break down material properly. They think they know what they're doing, but they're actually not reading what's on the page. I know this firsthand because I deal with it all the time when actors, I just had it happen yesterday. Actor came in with 3-4 pages for a project that we're going in on, and they started reading the line. I was like, that line doesn't read right. Let's take a look at it. And I look at it. I say, you do understand that this means, and I don't remember the exact line that it was, that this means that it's happening. It's happening at night, as that's what it was. It was a nighttime robbery. He was making a comment. This was a nighttime robbery? Ellipsis question mark. Okay. So, and he wasn't reading, he was reading it was a nighttime robbery. And I'm like, no, that's not what he's saying. He's differentiating it from a daytime robbery. He goes, oh, now that makes sense. It happens all the time. So when you don't have the right script, then now everything else is moot. It's kind of like you're trying to take a trip to Chicago and you have a map to Dallas. You're going to wind up in another part of the country, so you don't want to see that happening. When you really start understanding how to get into analyzing something, which isn't as easy as it says, oh, script analysis, oh, well, I'll analyze. Yeah, well, okay, why don't you just become a brain surgeon at the same time? It doesn't work like that. You see, our natural tendency is to not see things. And then you're catching things out of the peripheral of your eyes, which means your subconscious is getting it, but your conscious isn't getting it. Then something will actually grab your attention. You go, oh, well, that's interesting. It grabbed your attention. It grabbed your interest. Now, if it's got your interest enough, you'll actually start to look at it. And then from looking at it, you might go, might ponder it a little bit. But if you're serious about it, now the next step is going to be you're going to start to study it. You're going to start to study it. Studying means taking the time, separating yourself, putting yourself in another section from that place, and specifically working on trying to get to understand this thing at another level. And then after that, you go to another level of analysis, which is heightened intention. That means you're going to start thinking past yourself to fully understand more about what this is. I hope you were able to follow that, because getting people to stop and go to that level is something that really needs to be done if you want to understand how to operate with more intention. Because if you can't get to those levels of specificity, you don't have the capacity to go to those levels. And then therefore, your talent level kind of flattens out. Right? So you've got to understand, what did the writer write in the story? What's the story about? Who am I in the story? Who are the other characters in the story? And what do we all want? What are we all after? What are we working towards? And then as we go into that and start studying it more specifically, we can start finding things that we otherwise would not have found. And then we start adding that to, oh, I see how this character has to behave. And then it'll start to affect posture, pacing, eye contact. All behavior will be affected by that, because that character is different from you, which is different from another character and another character. And it's understanding the specificity of that particular character. And then how does that character operate in that environment for what it is that they're after. And to me, I watch actors work. That's all I do. A whole week long. It's just watch actors work at working. And I look at them and study how some actors go about it, and it's dumbfounding. I'm like, do you not even see like what's right here in front of you? Can you not see that you have to get intentional about this in order for you to accomplish your goal? And what happens is often they're like, no, I don't get that. I'm just here. No good. Camera doesn't like that. Camera likes it when you go to the next level of specificity, the next level of specificity, and on and on and on, so that we could actually watch you thread a needle and think it's the coolest scene in the world, because you do it with such intention and there's so much focus on you. And I'm not going to take up on this teaching. The examples out there are vast on how that's being done. And it's generally anytime you ever go, oh, what a great scene. I really love that scene. But you're only going to see it to the level and the depth of your own capacity for experiencing it. And according to Viola Spolin, that's one of the definitions of talent. Talent is not your experiences, your abilities. It's your capacity to experience. How much can you take in? How much can you process? And when you start living your life with more intention, you're going to get so much more out of being a fully functioning human being out there in the real world to be able to contribute to you being that much more of an interesting performer, speaker, actor when the camera's on you and you're telling a certain story. So go back in this series and check it out, because my intention for delivering this intensive on intention is to help you to live more intentionally so that you can have more intention when you are working towards those intentions in the work that you're doing, and bring more specificity to it and make it that much more interesting and have that many less dead spots in what it is that you're doing. And as a result, you will entertain more people, you will captivate more attention and more interest. Hope that wasn't a little bit too esoteric for you. If so, go back and watch it again. Go back and see some of the other tapes. Now, before I sign off on this teaching, I want to give you an intentional assignment. It's a simple little assignment to help you with specificity, and it has to do with a big flubby area that so many people are dealing with right now, and that's voice, speech, diction, articulation. Communicating the language with your tongue and your face. Speaking properly, okay? And it starts with breathing effectively. Now, I'm not going to do a breathing thing. I do a bunch of breathing teachings, and I'll do more, but I'm not going to take the time because all this is time consuming to explain. But your voice, your speech, your diction and articulation is only going to be as powerful as your power plant. And your power plant is your breathing dynamics that start with your diaphragm, your lungs, your lung capacity, your entire respiratory muscular system, your respiratory system. We good there? Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking bang that. Your respiratory system, your vocals, all of it is driven with power. The actor is an instrument. The actor is a wind instrument. We communicate, unless you're a non-speaking actor. Like a friend of mine, Doug Jones, who's a professional creature actor, speaks with his body, rarely to ever talks. He's communicating with everything else. He's a fascinating guy to listen to if you ever have an opportunity to listen to Doug Jones talk. Little plug for you, Doug. Love your work, man. But if not, then you're using your voice. Okay? So I want to give you an exercise, although, is there a note coming in? Is there a question? Okay. Okay. I'm being told by my producer, you can actually watch the intention series, the complete intention series on YouTube or Facebook. So Claybank Studio, thank you. Claybank Studio, Claybank Studio International, claybankstudio.com, our YouTube or our Facebook page. You can see the entire teaching series here, and I'm wrapping it up with this video for now. So breathing is huge and important. But voice, speech, and articulation, being able to actually communicate the language properly and not slurring all kind of words like amana. Amana. Amana has to be the #1 new word that I've seen created in the last like 5 to 8 years. And it was like, I never heard it before. Well, I did it in, what was it, the Sesame Street show. Amana, na, 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 amana, na. But now I hear amana all the time. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna come. I'm going to got contracted into amana. It's a new word. Okay. Well, if the writer wrote I'm going to and you're saying amana, we got a little bit of an issue there. So I want to give you a simple little intentional exercise, and this is how it works. I call it the alphabet voice, speech, articulation exercise. It's simple to understand, but you just got to keep working at it. And here's how it works. You're going to take the basic vowels from the American alphabet, A, E, I, O, U, right? We don't use Y, which is it. There's 5 vowels, but we're only going to use those 4. A, E, I, O, U. And the U is a U. And so what you do is you stop and you, and I will often bring up I don't have a cue. I don't want to take the time, but you've seen them. A face muscle diagram where the skin's ripped off and you just see the muscles of the face. There's so many muscles in the face. It's incredible. You should look for that diagram when you do this exercise. And then you watch what muscles are actually being activated. So like A, you don't go A, you go A. And you work from the diaphragm and then you feel what muscles are being used here. A, and you go A. Bring an arc to each one of these vowels. E, you'll see the energy moves in your face. A, E. A is backwards, E goes forwards. A, oh, here we go. She's gonna slip it in here, guys. There it is, there she is. There's face muscle woman, but you can Google search facial muscles and have that come up. So there you go. Okay, thank you, awesome. That was creepy. But cool. All right. E. Now stay with me. A, E, I. It changes. O. And then the U is U. So it goes A, E, I, O, U. See, like right now, you're saying the vowels with complete intention. Intentionality of really overemphasizing the vowels so that you can build the muscles. Because let's face it, if you want to build muscles, you got to put a lot of resistance on them over a period of time for them to grow, and then you have to feed them. So those are the vowels that we're going to work with in this exercise. A, E, I, O, U. Then you go through the American alphabet and you take all the consonants, with the exception of X, I believe, all the consonants, and you put the consonants in front of each one of those vowels through the whole alphabet. So it goes like this. First consonant would be B. So it goes bay, bee, by, bo, boo. So now we're working with b, these muscles right here in the front of the mask. B, A, B, E, B, I. It's like doing push-ups or sit-ups. It's a workout. Then you move on to the C. K, ki, kai, ko, ku. And you take your time with it. Now, we have a tendency to rush because we're going to go to survival pacing. But you got to break survival and you got to go to empowerment. You want to be in your empowerment zone, your performance zone, your peak performance zone, not your resting state zone. And it takes work. So you go through the whole alphabet. You do the D, you don't do E, it's obviously a vowel. You go F, fe, fi, fi, fo, fu. G, gay, it's guttural, gay, it comes down here, gay, gee, guy, go, go. The H comes from deep down. Hey, he, hi, ho, who. M, N, L, all these letters, lately. You go through the alphabet as a warm-up. It takes about 2 minutes. It takes more to explain it, but it takes about 2 minutes to do this. When you get to the W, it's hui, hui. You almost have to take a breath for each one because it's coming from the diaphragm. It's diaphragmatic breathing. Hui, hui, huai, huo, hu, okay? And you leave out the X, the Z, 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 zo, zoo. And then that becomes a standard staple warm-up for you before you're going to speak, because you're activating all the muscles and you're ready to go, just like an athlete would be stretching the muscles and warming up the muscles before they're going to play. Or whatever game, whatever they're doing, whatever their sport is. Same kind of deal. So now you're working with more specificity as opposed to, oh, well, let's just see what happens. Let's just give it a shot. I'm just going to show up and be natural. No, there's nothing natural about acting. And anybody that ever said that or wrote it in a book is highly mistaken. Acting is one of the most unnatural things that we can do. It's completely unnatural. You just learn to make it natural. And there's part of the craft right there. Okay? So I hope that helped you out. If you need any further information on this, you can always reach out and connect to us. info@claybankstudio.com. I'm not sure where that card is right now, but I'm going to put this one back up because claybankstudio.com is right there. Just put an info in front of it. That'll be our email. And we will get back to you if you're interested in looking at the on-camera course. That'll take you to the next level than just, say, YouTube videos and picking up courses. This is a complete comprehensive training that is integrated. It took years to put this course together, and it has thousands and thousands of hours in it. And I've interviewed hundreds of A-list industry professionals, Hollywood stars, writers, directors, producers, casting directors. It's pretty much just about my life work up to the point of creation, which was a few years back. And we just launched it, 2020 we launched it. So it's a real new course. It's very exciting. And I just had one of my clients say, I just turned 18 yesterday and my mother surprised me and bought me the ACT course for my birthday. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. She goes, I know, I'm so excited. It's a very cool course. So you can go online, check it out on the website and see it there. So hopefully this is all helping you guys out. We don't want to do that. So we want to stop that. If I can figure the button on how to stop that, I will somehow figure out the button. I'm sorry, I don't have the button here. We got to bring in my producer. I hit the wrong button. That'll happen. There we go. They're teaching me the system. Thank you, guys. Okay. So I'm not going to turn that lower third off because I don't know what the heck I did, but I didn't turn it off. There it is. Okay, we got it there. All right. So, hey, live teachings, aren't they great? You never know what's going to happen. But guys, it's been a pleasure. Enjoy helping you, teaching you, coaching you. Reach out if you need anything. And until then, I am Coach Clay Banks from Claybank Studio and claybankstudio.com. And just ask you guys to be safe out there and God bless. Till next time.